Hi Logan, this is Zen. I'm going to do a couple tutorial videos for you and your friends at Legacy Church so that you all will know how to keep your website up to date and looking good. To begin, we're going to start by going to legacychurch.org with a /WP admin, and this will take you to a login screen, and you can use your WordPress information there to go ahead and log in, and that will take you to what is called the dashboard. This is simply the front page for your website where you can do all of your editing from. You can see that over here in this left sidebar, there's all kinds of things like posts where you can add new posts, pages where you can add new pages, and so on and so forth. You might also notice that at the middle of the screen here, there are a couple of different things that are going on. One of the things is the stats widget, and the stats widget just goes to show you who's viewing your site and when. So you might be interested to see that from this page, you're getting 67 views on July 29th, and they also looked like they visited a number of pages and scrolled through. I would say that this was me going through the website as I was updating it. That's probably where most of those views came from, but many times they aren't from me, as you can see from other days on the statistics widget. And you can also see by post, which this is looking at your pages. It's just giving you an idea of which pages are most popular on your website. You can also use additional functions on the dashboard page by clicking on screen options and adding them. So you can click on Quick Draft, and that will give you an option where you can quickly type up a title of a post and whatever is on your mind, and then save it as a draft. That will then be accessible in your posts. You can click on this and go to drafts and find it there. I have not found this function in particular very useful in my own uses, but you might. So keep that in mind as you get more comfortable working with WordPress, that is there. Okay, so I've switched over to the offline version of the website. So it's going to look slightly different from your dashboard, which is live right now. And once we transfer things over to the actual website, you'll be able to see things just as they were before, and for all intents and purposes, this will be exactly the same on your website. If you do notice differences and have questions, feel free to contact me. But for now, let's get started. Let's just visit the page, the front page. This will take us to what will be legacy-church.org. This is what the user will see immediately. You see it's a nice big picture like the website that we looked at before, with a very clean header with a nice black translucent background so that people can see the words a little bit more clearly. And then if the buttons have drop downs, they've got a little down arrow for people to know that there's a little bit more there for them to see. And if there's another submenu, as in on the staff link, they can also click out and go to a specific staff member's page. And then there's this text, which is just a little introduction to what the church is and what it's doing, along with a button here that will link the user to a page such as Our Story or Our Beliefs and Values. And then if we scroll down further, you can see that there are a number of widgets here. So this fills out a little bit more about what the church is and where it is and when you all meet together. This gives the user something to contact members of the church by. And then finally, over here is a neat little social media link so that people can see your pages. Currently, the Facebook page is linked to Legacy Church's Facebook, but the Twitter here is just to twitter.com because I did not see a Twitter page. It would be useful since many millennials are using Twitter to have one of those pages. Also, this is the main footer, which is going to have these three widgets: navigate, mission, and recent sermons on every page of the website. This helps the user to have something quick to get around to the main pages that they might need. The mission section will tell them just briefly in 50 to 75 words what the church is all about. And then also, the recent sermons will give users a quick way to see what you are preaching about and what they can expect at your service. Now, under mission and elsewhere on the website, you will notice that there is dummy text. It's also called lorem ipsum. It's just there to give you an idea of what design-wise would look good. So this gives you a number of words that you could use for your mission statement that would keep the design looking nice. Also, down in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that we have the social media icons again for Facebook and for Twitter. Again, the Twitter here is not linked to a Legacy Church account. It's linked to Logan's account. So we will need to change that later, and I will show you how to do that. So, the first thing you might want to do is change this image in the background here to one that's more relevant for Kendallville or for Legacy Church. So we'll go back to our dashboard by going up to the left-hand corner and clicking on Legacy Church and then Dashboard. And we'll go to Pages. We'll know that this is the page that we want to edit, Home, because it's indicated by Front Page. And we'll click on Home. And you can see here that the image doesn't show up in this text box. The only thing that shows up here is Legacy Church, the text about Legacy Church, and then the Get to Know Us button. But the image is actually over here in the featured image thing. So what you can do is click on this, and you can see that the media library shows up here, and you've got all sorts of pictures to choose from. For this image, the ideal size, what the theme was created for, is 1230 pixels wide by 813 pixels tall. If we were still looking at the front page, which we can do, then you would notice that the image actually runs a little bit long. So you might not want it to be the full 813 pixels tall. If you'd like to change this picture, you can choose from the media library, or you can select Upload Files. This is the same for all pictures across the website. If you've made any changes to the website, then you'll want to scroll up and click Update. Once you click Update, the changes will be live on the internet. Now, if we go back to the home page, you can see that there are widgets here that will want to be updated when we have the information we need, like the address, which is wrong, and probably the service times, which are also wrong. In order to edit those things, we'll need to go and edit widgets. To do that, you'll want to go to Appearance, and in the submenu of Appearance, you can click on Widgets. You'll see on the widgets page a number of selectors here, and one is for the front page widget 1, 2, and 3, which correspond to 1, 2, and 3. So if we wanted to change the address, we could simply go click on front page 1, click on text, and then update the address to 1234 Jacksonville Lane. Click Save. And once it's saved, you can come back here and refresh the page, and you'll see that it's changed to Jacksonville Lane. If you need to edit the link in the Twitter icon, then you can click on front page 3, follow us, and then scroll down. Now this might look scary because it's got HTML in it, but it's not that bad. If you're going to change the link, then for Twitter, you can select after the href quotation mark and change this to the link that actually works for the Twitter. So it might be the same link as we have here, which is Hulk Logan 90. So you just add Hulk Logan 90. Click Save. Come back to the home page and click Refresh. And then we'll scroll up and see that it actually links us to twitter.com/HulkLogan90. While we're here, we'll go ahead and take a look at the main page footers as well. So we'll go again to the main page of the website, the front page, scroll all the way down. Navigate, Mission, and Recent Sermons are the main page footers. They're going to be on all of your pages. In order to edit those, you can go to footer 1, footer 2, or footer 3. Say we wanted to change the text under Mission because we didn't like how it started, so we'll change Lorem Ipsum to Foramen Nipsum. Click Save. We can come back to the front page and click Refresh. We'll come back and we'll see that it has changed to Foramen Nipsum. You might also want to change something about this Navigate menu. If you wanted to do that, then we'd go to footer 1 and you'll see that it's in Custom menu, Navigate, and the title Navigate indicates this text right here. And then you can see that there's a menu selected for footer. Well, we can't change anything here, so we'll click Save. But we'll go over to Appearance again in the sidebar from the dashboard, and we'll click Menus. On the Menus page, you'll see that you have an option to select which menu to edit. If we click that, then we've got the footer, which is the one that we want to edit. We've got the main, which is the one at the top of the page here with About, Resources, Get Connected, Give Today. And then we've also got the social links footer menu, which is a little confusing because there's this social links, which is in a footer, but the one that the menu link will edit is this one here. But we want to edit the footer menu. So we'll click Footer and select. Now we can see that we've got the options here to edit whatever is on that menu. Say that we want to change Give Today and get rid of that exclamation point. What we could do is click on the Give Today down arrow and you'll see Navigation Label. You can just click that and backspace, and that will make the label show up as Give Today. So now we've saved the menu and we'll go back to the front page and we'll do a refresh, and you can see now that the exclamation point is gone. Changing menus is the same across the board. We'll change this back really quickly. Save menu, and then let's say we want to edit the main menu. We'll select that. You can see that it looks almost the same, it's just got a lot more to it. For example, maybe we would like to change New to Legacy Church just to say New to Legacy. We can save menu, refresh, and we can hit About, and we see that it says New to Legacy. So now that we have explored all of the elements on the front page, let's turn our attention to some normal pages. For example, let's go to the Our Beliefs and Values page. If we click on it, we see that here it's got a big red header with the name of the page specified in the title, and then we've got all of the text that has been entered already in a couple of lists. And we've got some titles here to specify what the lists are describing. And then on the right side, we've got what is called a sidebar. This sidebar will show up on any page that is given a default template setting. Let's see what I mean by that. So from our dashboard, we can go to Pages, and then we'll go to Our Beliefs and Values and click Edit. What pops up is the editor, just like we saw for the home page, but this one is not set to the front page template. Instead, it's set to the default template. All that is specifying is that the default template has this main content area and a right sidebar. If you were to make a website page with the alternative sidebar page, then it would put the sidebar on the left-hand side and the text on the right-hand side. And finally, if you were to click on a full width or grid page, that would give you even different pages still. I'll show you those later. For now, let's worry about editing a page that's default template. So if we look at the page, it's clean and easy to read, but it's not all that interesting. So we might want to put a picture in here to spice things up a little bit. So we'll go to the edit page. Why don't we put it in between the two sections, since that's kind of the natural break of the page. We'll enter down into a new section, and then to put a picture in, we'll click Add Media. Now, we want to be considerate of the size of the page. We don't want to enter a picture that's really tiny, and we don't want to enter a picture that's too big. The section that's holding this text is 700 pixels wide. So what we'll do is we'll go to our media library, or we could upload a file if we had one, or we could insert it from a URL. But we've got one already in the media library that's the right size. Let's see this picture of the Bible, and it's 700 pixels by 400 pixels wide. We can title it Bible, and then give it an alternative text of Bible with glasses on it. The alternative text is important because people with disabilities often have a computer program that reads out the text on the page. If there's an image there, all that they will get is image if there's no alt text. So we put alt text in, and when they do not see the image, they can hear that there is an image of Bible with glasses on it. And then if you wanted to, you could add a little description. This doesn't show up anywhere unless people find it on Google Images. So you could say, this is a picture with a Bible and some glasses. Now, this doesn't seem that important right now, but when Google does crawl your website and it sees that images have a description and a title and an alt text, it ranks your site higher, which means that it's more likely that someone will find it. If we scroll down more, we can see that the image, which is actually 700 by 400 pixels, has been made smaller by WordPress. So we should click on medium and click full size because we want this image to be its full size. And then we can click insert into page. And just like that, we've got a nice big image that fills up the text space. We can click update and go back to the website and click refresh. And if we scroll down, we see that this image is really nicely sized and takes up a good amount of space on the page. Now, we might also want to add an image up here so that this doesn't look so boring. We can go back to the page editor and scroll down on the right side and find the featured image bar. If we click set featured image and select one, like this mountain picture, which is sized to 1200 pixels wide by 430 pixels tall, and hit set featured image. If you want to, you can enter the descriptions again for the same reasons that I mentioned above. You can click set featured image, hit update, and then come back to the page and refresh, and you see that the nice big picture is in there, it's clear, and it's the right size. We can scroll down and view the page, and the page is now a lot more interesting. This is a worthwhile thing to get pictures that are the right size, because unclear pictures are really kind of hard on the eyes and make a lot of users think that you're not taking yourself seriously. So be sure if you do decide to put in images that they are big, good quality images and that they're sized appropriately for where you're putting them. You can find all of the sizes for your specific pictures on the text document that I'm sending along with this. We might also want to go ahead and check out a page that's a different template. So remember, over here, I specified that the values and beliefs page is under the default template. There's an alternate sidebar page, which I don't use. There's a front page, which is the page that we edited first. And then there's a full width page. Let's go ahead and take a look at a full width page. If we come to the website and go to New to Legacy, we can see that it has the same featured image. And here, it's got all of the text taking up the whole area. There's no longer a sidebar. You can see that the image can be much wider. This is 1200 pixels wide. And that this kind of page, this full width page, is much more conducive for having a lot of content. And new to Legacy Church might be a good page to have a lot of content on. Maybe some big pictures of people having fun together after a church service or at an event. And it should also have something like the Contact Us link so that people can find a way to get a hold of you if they want to know more about what's going on. Editing that kind of page will be almost exactly the same as editing a default page. So we can go to New to Legacy Church and click Edit and see that it's got the exact same options and that the featured image is in the same spot. So if you'd like to change any of those things, they'll be right there. Okay, so we've looked at default sidebar pages and full width pages. There's another kind of page that is being used on the website. It's being used on the staff page. We'll take a look at that now. If we click over to the staff page, we can see that there's no featured image set, that there's some text here that looks like it's in some kind of heading format, and then there's this grid of images. That's how the page gets its name. A grid page displays images and a little bit of text with a read more button for various other pages that people can click to. But this is a nice clean way to display multiple things at once that are related. So all of these are the pastors. We might as well display them in a grid. Now, we have to explore a little bit about why the grid works and how it works so that if you want to add another staff member later, you can do that easily. For example, right now we have Daniel Cosentino, I guess, as the lead pastor. You can see that there's an image here, a little bit of text, and a read more. Well, if we click on the read more button, it actually takes us to Daniel's page. And there you can see the same text that was displayed under his image in the grid, as well as a contact form. But the contact form doesn't display on the staff page. If we go back, you can see that it's just this text, and then read more. And if we go to this page, you can also see that it's a default page where there's the sidebar over here on the side and the footer on the bottom. So, how did we get this to work? I'll walk you through an example way of making another pastor page, a sample pastor page, so that you can do this on your own later. For now, let's go back to our staff page. So, if we were to go to our staff here, then all we will see is the text that is displayed above the images here. Now that's not all that helpful because we want to edit an image. We want to add another person. But setting a featured image won't do that. What we have to do is go back to Pages and take a look. If you see our staff page, you'll see that there are these pages that exist below it, as if they're in a submenu of our staff. That's because these are called children pages, and our staff is called their parent page. So, for example, if we click Edit on Daniel's page, you can see that here's the text that appears just beneath his image on the Our Staff page. And then here's the Contact Daniel form that appears on his own page. And then if we look over here to the right, there's a Page Attributes section and a Parent selector, and you can click any page. But since our staff is a grid page, and it's the page that we want this to show up on, we click that. We click Our Staff, and then there's the featured image here, which shows up both for Daniel's profile picture here, and then if you click on him, it shows up as the featured image on his personal page. So let's create another pastor's page for an example. We'll scroll back over to the Our Staff page just so you can see how it inserts itself into the page. So what we would want to do is go to Pages, Add New, and then let's type in Stevie Bartholomew. And we'll call him the PowerPoint pastor. And maybe we will give him the same thing as Pastor Dan's text. And I'll just copy this and paste it in. And then we don't want more than this to show up in that little box. The word count between 30 to 50 words is probably about the maximum that you'd want. So what you can do is click on the Read More tag insert button. You click that and it'll put a line. And then we want to insert a contact form so that they can reach Stevie. And so we'll go ahead and delete website because that's not really necessary. And then we'll do email notifications, and we'll say that it's going to go to stevie@legacy-church.org, and the subject line can be contact from website. So when someone uses this form, it'll send an email with the content of the form to stevie@legacychurch.org. Go back to the form builder and click add this form to my post, and that shows up. And we want to set a featured image, and we know that this size works. This size, 1200 pixels wide by 561 pixels tall. We'll click set featured image, and then lastly and most importantly, we want to set this to the Our Staff parent. If we click publish and then come back to Our Staff and click refresh, then we see that Stevie Bartholomew, the PowerPoint pastor, has his own page. And if we click through to that, then we'll see that his image shows up here, his title here, and the text and the contact form. Now, it might seem confusing that these images are so tiny, but that we set an image that's 1200 by 400 pixels tall. That's an important thing to do though, because if you were to insert one that was say 400 by 400, which is maybe about the size of this image, then you would get an image on this page that is just a little square and it will be blurry. So make sure that you get good big pictures of your pastors and have them centered in the picture. You can use any photo editor to fix them up, and you can probably get a good enough quality picture with an iPhone or any digital camera. You don't have to have a big handheld DSLR or anything like that. The next thing that I want to look at is sidebars. So on your default pages, such as the Our Story page, when we scroll down, like I've said before, you've got a main content area here, as well as a sidebar area here. Now, at some point, you'll want to edit the address and the service times, as well as probably this text here. In order to do that, we'll go back to the dashboard and over to Appearance, and once again, we'll click on Widgets. And you'll see here that there is an option for the sidebar area. If we look at this, and we said earlier that we wanted to change this to 1234 Jacksonville Lane, we'll go ahead and click on Join Us, and you can see that the content is right there. Now, you'll see this little bit of code here, the HR tag, and all that means is that we want it to leave a space between this paragraph and this paragraph. So let's go ahead and change this to Jacksonville Lane, and then we'll also add another bit of text here with the BR tag, which means a new line, and we'll say that we hope to see you there. And let's take a look at that. We'll click Save, and then we'll come back to the page and hit Refresh, and now we see that it says Jacksonville Lane. But I don't like how this is rubbing up against this other paragraph, so let's go ahead and insert an HR tag. Well, let's first try this. See, in a normal text editor, we can just hit the enter and it'll have a space there. But if we click Save and then come back here and hit Refresh, then we can see that it's still right up against that. That's what we need the HR tag for. So we'll click HR, and then we can also put this maybe in italics by putting little I and then an I with a slash in front of it and tags there, and click Save. And let's take a look at it now. You can see that this now has an italicized hope and there's a space between it. So let's get rid of this for now. We don't really need that, and we'll click Save. And then we can go up here. Now there are other options that you can add. For example, you could put a tag cloud, and what this is, and we'll have to see a little bit later, that when you put a sermon in your blog, then you'll put it by various tags so that people can know what it is that your sermon is about. So let's put sermons by topic, and the taxonomy is tags rather than categories or link categories. So we'll click Save, and if we come back and hit refresh, then we can see that there's recent sermons, but there's also sermons by topic, and the sermons that we have up now are about grace, hope, love, Matthew, origin, and the Reformation. So that's how you edit the sidebar. Now let's go ahead and take a look at those sermons. If we click on Resources, then Sermons is available underneath that. And we click on Sermons, and they show up here. This sermon was titled, Do Unto Others. And here's a brief description of what it is. This is a sermon from July 27th, 2016. You can listen to it via Bandcamp below. This is one way that we might choose to insert it. If we don't have a video but we have audio, then we could create a Bandcamp account and upload it there, and then we could go ahead and title it and say that it's by Legacy Church, and then there will be an embed link, and I can show you how to get that later if this is the route that you choose to go. And then below we might have the beginning of the sermon in its text form, and if you click continue reading, then you can see that it starts you where the continue reading was at, and that's the same thing that we did for the staff page, the read more, insert read more tag. And then this is the whole text of the sermon. Again, this is all dummy text, so you'll want to replace that sometime. And then people can also choose to listen to it by clicking on this play button. Another way that we could do this, if we go back, is to insert it as a video. And that's very easy because we can just put that up on YouTube and then link the YouTube video into the sermon in the same way. So let's take a look at one of these posts. For our purposes, we're going to use the blog as the sermons page. So to access the blog, go to your dashboard and click Posts. And you'll see that we've got the two posts here. Let's go ahead and look at the one that's a YouTube video. So the first thing that you'd want to do is briefly introduce what it is that people are going to see. So this is a sermon from July 26, 2016. We are faced with the question, what do we do with loss? You can watch the video or read the transcript below. So then you can insert this video. Inserting the video is really easy. All you do, we'll go ahead and copy this. If we exit it, we can go ahead and delete this.
I love a Trinity Forum crowd. It is one sociable bunch.
Below. And then we go ahead and go down to that section, and we can hit Add Media and Insert from URL. And then you simply plug in the YouTube link and hit Insert into Post. And it puts it right there for you. And then you go below by hitting Enter, and you go ahead and insert the transcript of the sermon. And then here again is the read more tag, and this is good practice because you don't want this whole sermon to take up the whole page. I've deleted the read more tag. Let's go ahead and update it and just see what that looks like. So we'll come back to the sermons page, the blog page, and we'll hit refresh, and then let's scroll down. See how this one is nice and short, and it gives the user just a quick introduction to what the sermon might be saying, and then they can continue reading if they'd like. This one, if you go to it, you can see that all of a sudden all of the text is right there. And if you've got a number of sermons, then that makes the page extremely long and burdensome for the user. So what we want to do is maybe just right after this first paragraph, we'll click and we'll let our cursor be there, and then we'll come to the Insert Read More tag and click it, and it will just cut it off automatically for us. You can click Update and take a look at it. We'll hit refresh, and now it's just there by itself. Now, important practice for when you are uploading your sermons and putting them in these posts is if you create a post, let's say we add a new one, and we'll call this one 1 John 3:16 to 20, a text of love. And then we'll just go ahead and say this was a sermon from July 31st, 2016. It is about love. And then we'll go to YouTube. Maybe we'll find a sermon by Willie Jennings. And we'll click on that and we'll copy the link. And once we've copied it, we can return to this page and add media as before. Insert from URL, paste it, insert into post. And then if we had all of the text that we wanted, we'd go ahead and click it and add that in. And we could just add the insert read more tag here. And then we want to put it as a category under sermon. Again, this is for Google's purposes, so that Google can know when someone searches for Legacy Church sermons, they'll display these posts by that. And then under tags, we might put love, 1 John, and gifts. And what tags do is they help narrow it down even more. So sermon is a really broad category, and then tags are what belongs underneath that category. And then we can hit publish, come back and hit refresh. And now you see that this new one is up first thing for people to see, and they can watch the video right away if they would like, or they can read the whole text of the sermon. And I just want to reiterate that it's really important to click off of sermon, click from uncategorized and put it into the category sermon. Uncategorized makes your results less likely to show up in Google. And also, it's important to include tags so that the user will know what it's about. And if you did choose to have the sidebar displaying tags by topic, you can see that you talk about love a whole lot and all of these other things too. And if a person was trying to remember a sermon, maybe one of these would trigger their memory so they would know what they were looking for, and they could click Reformation, and all of a sudden this one shows up. They can watch it and remember what the good word was that day. The next page that I want to look at is the calendar page. So this one is a little bit of a stretch because we actually have to use Google Calendar as well as WordPress. So let's take a look at that. I've put it under both resources and get connected so that the user can't miss it. It'll be an important page because your events are things that get people really integrated into your community. So you want to keep it updated. So let's take a look. Both this calendar link and this calendar link go to the same page. You can see that it displays. It might be nice to have a big featured image of a picture of one of your events. And then there's just a little bit of text here about what this page is about, and also indicates that the user, if they think there is an error or if they want to let you know about an upcoming event, are able to contact you via the page with a contact form. And then you can see that there's a nice clean calendar that shows here, and we don't have any events, so let's go ahead and see how to do that. So I will include in my text to you, my text instructions to you, the login information for your Google account. And the Google account will have the calendar already set up. So you can access it pretty easily by going to google.com/calendar and hitting enter. And then it shows up on this page. And inserting a new event is really, really easy. Let's say we've got something coming up this Friday, and it starts at 6, and you can see that we can just click on that. All you do is click, and then we can click edit event, and we'll say that it is a movie and discussion, and it's on the 5th. It starts at 6. We'll say it goes until 10 p.m. And the location might be 1234 Jacksonville Road, Kendallville, Indiana. And it's on Legacy Church calendar, and you can add a little description. We will be watching an important film and discussing it together. Bring snacks. And then all you do is hit save. Now that it's saved, let's come back here and click refresh. And we can see that it shows up in our calendar. This will be a really nice way to include small group things that are meeting that everyone's welcome to come to, youth group events, or special church functions such as meetings or discussions about current events going on in Kendallville. And it could be used for your service times, but that should be included enough on the website on other places that's not necessarily included here, but you can include it if you would like. Google Calendar does include, if we were going to include something like that, we could click on Sunday here, the 7th, and say you all meet at 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m., and we can click Edit Event, and you can click Repeat, and it repeats weekly. And you can do weekly on Sunday and have it go forever if you want, and that would be a really easy way to set up recurring events like small groups or church services. Okay, so there's just a few more things to look at. First, I want to go ahead and go to the Give Today page. So originally you had a button that looked a little old school, so I went ahead and made the button here fit better with the design of the site. Hopefully that's okay, and it will still link them over to easytithe.com. And I've also done a little bit of extra coding on this page. So if you want to update it, it might be a little more finicky than other pages. If we go to the Pages section on the dashboard and click Edit, then you can see here that it shows up nice and clean on the actual text editor page, but it might break if you try and change the text. Let me show you why. On this, I've done a lot of coding in order to make it look better and more interesting. If it messes up, that's okay, but the best way to fix it will be just to give me a call and I will get on and fix it for you. There's not really a great way to teach you how to do that through videos. So this should be the only part of the website that is hard to use, that might give you problems. Don't be afraid to give me a call and ask for my help on that. And then let's go ahead and look just at inserting maybe some pictures and other things. On, for example, the children's page, I've included a picture off to the side that's a little smaller. And on the youth page, I've included your little logo thing here, as well as a bigger image on the bottom. In order to do that, we'll go quickly to Pages, and then we can go to Youth, which is on the second page here, and click Edit. We can see that it's pretty simple to have this image here. I'm going to remove it really quick just to show you how to do it. So if we click right at the very beginning, if we want this image to be right there at the top, then we can click Add Media, and then we'll go to Legacy Youth. But we want it to stay over to the left-hand side, and we want the text to wrap around it. So what we'll do is we'll make sure that the alignment is set to left, and we'll also go ahead and keep it at full size. We don't want it to be much smaller than that. And we click Insert into Page, and it sets up right along the side there. Now, it's not too difficult if you want to resize it by eye to just go ahead and click right on the image, and you can see that it gives you these 4 little transform boxes on the corners. You can click that, and if you just drag it in, it will keep it scaled to the same size. If you hold down Shift, then you can size it any way that you want, but it's probably best to keep the ratio the same. So we'll size it there and click Update. And now let's take a look at Youth. So now you can see the picture is just a little bit smaller than it was. And this picture, again, is about 700 pixels wide would be best. 700 pixels, and this one's probably around 400 pixels tall. but you could always do taller or shorter. It might be good to just have a couple pictures in this page to keep the youth interested if they're looking at your site. Now, also, you should notice that I've added some dummy text again to this, and the reason being is it's good for the main content of the page not to be shorter, too much shorter, than the sidebar. Originally, this sermons by topic widget was not here, so it lined up to be about right with the sidebar. So speaking in terms of best design, you'll want to try and make any default page that's got a sidebar, you'll want this content to be at least as long as the sidebar is. So that's it. I hope that you love the way that the website is looking and that this gives you a really good start to setting things up the way that you would like them to be. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to call or email me or shoot me a text, and I'll be happy to help. Also, if you have any questions about more specific things, again, like the Give Today page or the calendar, I'm happy to make a more detailed video if that's necessary. And best of luck to you as you continue on planting this church. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Amen.